Hey, good evening. Welcome to our online learning orientation for Roy City High School. I'm Kevin Worthy. I'm the superintendent of Roy City, and so we appreciate you taking the time late on a Monday night to join us for this online learning orientation. I want to remind you that this particular orientation is designed for the 100% online students, the students that will be online for 100%. They're not participating in the hybrid model at the high school, and they will only be online students 100% and not face-to-face. So just when we're going through this, just keep that in mind that we're not talking about the hybrid. If you have some hybrid questions, you'll need to contact Dr. Sean Walker or Brooke McMaster. They are both on tonight's meeting. We have a number of our administrators that have joined in just to monitor the question Q&A that we hope that you will put in the chat box. Once you do that, we're going to capture all those questions and we're going to generate an FAQ and get those out to you as soon as possible. We're actually recording this meeting, and so we'll put the recording on our on our website, so you can watch it again, or you can let some other people know that couldn't join in where they can find this particular presentation. So again, I'm Kevin Worthy, superintendent. We are so happy that you have joined us, and we hope to answer all your questions tonight. I'm going to turn it over to our assistant superintendent, Julia Robinson. She's in charge of curriculum and instruction, and she's going to walk through tonight's presentation. So let me start that for her. Perfect.
Good evening and welcome. We're so glad you're here. Again, thank you so much. This has been an evening of Zoom. We had elementary at 5:30 and middle school at 6:30 and high school at 7:30. So thank you for staying around for a little bit later meeting. We appreciate you so much. I wanted to just briefly give you the objectives for tonight's meeting. And one is information about what a typical day in online learning might look like and for your student. Also, how student attendance will be calculated. We'll talk quite a bit about that. How students will be graded in online learning and what supplies will be needed. And as I said, Mr. Worthy, our superintendent, is here. Also, Kenny K. Hudson, our assistant superintendent for special and federal programs, is with us. A.D. Bryant, our chief communication officer, our technology folks, our principals are here. So they are all moderating the chat. We hope to answer every question. We've tried to plan well for this presentation to answer all of your questions. But if you put questions in the chat box, we will answer those as quickly as we can tomorrow and Wednesday, and try to get that FAQ posted as quickly as possible. So thank you so much. So let me start kind of with a current status report for you. Currently, we have about 38 to 40% of the students in the district who have chosen online learning. And as of this morning, there are 693 students at the high school who are 100% online. So again, as Mr. Worthy stated, we're talking about students who do not have plans to come to campus on any day. The hybrid model, black and gold days, are days that students who will be coming one day and staying at home. This presentation is not specifically for those people. There might be a few pieces of information you can glean, but this is specifically for the students who are planning to stay at home Monday through Friday in online learning. So the hybrid model has half the students virtual on alternating days. So high school is a little bit more complicated than elementary and middle school, and that's the reason why we wanted to address these in separate presentations. So one other thing that I wanted you to know is that the Texas Education Agency offered districts 3 different models that they could put into place for the fall of 2020-2021. One was they had to provide face-to-face learning for students. We are doing that every day in K through 8, but in high school, for the 5A and 6A high schools in the state of Texas, those are very large high schools, generally over 2,000 students. The agency wanted to provide a way to allow social distancing and to allow for students to have that opportunity to not be right on top of each other every single day. So they allowed our high schools to offer what's called the hybrid model. Half the students coming on the black day, half the students coming on gold day, and rotating back and forth to allow that social distancing. So that was kind of one model, that face-to-face model. The second is a model that the state refers to as synchronous learning. And if you took the A off the little word that's in front of you there, the asynchronous, you would have the word synchronous. And a synchronous learning plan is when the teachers and students are interacting together in real time. So in a Google Meet session, the teacher is teaching, the students are listening and asking questions back and forth. That's what we call a synchronous learning plan. That is difficult for students to do all the time because they might have doctor's appointments or they might have a need to be helping with a younger sibling part of the time during the day. There might be reasons that a student would miss part of a class period. And so that sort of penalized students and not able to capture that attendance for school and gain credit. So RCISD has chosen an asynchronous learning plan. And that does provide some flexibility to the district and to our students in a plan like that. So we will have synchronous pieces where students will log in and hear the lesson from their teacher, but we will also record those lessons or use videos, short video segments of what the learning is for that day, so that if students are away from their computer or at a doctor's appointment or working with a younger sibling and have to come into the lesson at a later time and miss that synchronous learning with their teacher, that they could get the lesson and still progress in the curriculum and complete their assignments. So it's the most flexible method that we could select to allow our parents and families and students to participate in learning. It does require a daily engagement measure, as you see there in the second bullet. So different from digital dogs, students will have an assignment on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And in order to be counted present for each of those 5 days, the student would have to complete the assignment that the teacher has placed for the student to do in Google Classroom. So it is very different from digital dogs in the spring in that students do have to engage every single day. It also requires high quality instruction. We have been working all summer with our teachers in professional learning, also in technology training, to be prepared to provide learning for students in a high quality environment. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. It does count asynchronous instructional methods, those videos and posted lessons and sample videos that I talked about, as well as that synchronous instruction. It allows both of those together. So that was the reason that we chose the asynchronous learning plan. So let's talk about attendance. Every day truly does matter in high school. There is so much learning to be done in grades 9 through 12 in preparation for post-secondary, whatever that may be, a job, a career, a workforce, or a college. There is a ton of stuff that students learn in grades 9 through 12 to help prepare them. So attendance most definitely does matter. So let's talk about how remote asynchronous attendance is measured. The very first thing I want you to know is that measurement frequency is daily. I'll say again, and I'll probably say a couple more times during this presentation, that that attendance is taken daily. So students, if they have Algebra 1 or US History or Biology, it doesn't matter what the course is, or art or choir, whatever that might be, the student must check in with that class every single day and complete that assignment in order to be counted present. So there's actually 3 ways, this is the flexibility piece that we talked about, for capturing that attendance. The first is daily progress in the learning management system. And it says as defined in our approved learning plan. So what we've sent to TEA. So if a student, in our case, we use Google Classroom. So if a teacher has posted an assignment in Google Classroom and the student has done work on that assignment and completed that assignment, then the student would be checked present for today. The second way is if a student is progressing through teacher-student interactions. So maybe the student logs in for the live lesson with the teacher is presenting the math lesson, the students are asking questions. That would also count as attendance for today. One other example in this case is if maybe the teacher was out and missed the algebra lesson and the teacher called the student later on in the day during their conference period and said, "We missed you in algebra today. Have you looked in the Google Classroom? Today we talked about linear equations, and there's an assignment in there for you to do. Do you have everything you need to get that done? Do you have any questions? If there's teacher-student interaction about the learning, that also counts for attendance. And then the third way is completion or turn-in of assignments from the student to the teacher. Most of that is going to happen online through the Google Classroom, but there are situations where students would want to send in an assignment via email, and there might be some cases, I couldn't think of one off the top of my head, where something would need to be mailed to the teacher or maybe even brought by the campus, but mostly that will be online. So this is a graphic of what I just described to you. And if you are a parent of 100% or a student who is 100% online, we're going to start in that upper left-hand corner, that blue box that says Start Here. And the question is, was the student on campus for in-person instruction today? And if you're an online learner, the answer to that question is no. So you would move from that orange over to that long orange box, and it says, did the student participate in asynchronous learning in one of the three measures? And notice that asterisk, students can be engaged up till 11:59 p.m. So back to my example that they might have been working with a younger sibling or gone to a doctor's appointment and they missed their algebra class today. If they log into Google Classroom and go through the lesson, watch the video or watch the short recorded session that the teacher placed there, and they do their assignment before 11:59 p.m., let's say it's on a Monday like today, then they are counted present for that day. If it is after midnight, then they would not be counted present for today. So the first question there you see is, did the student submit a completed assignment during Monday? If the answer is yes, then the student would be marked as present. Did the student show any progress in Google Classroom? Again, were they working on what the teacher asked them to do and submitting real assignments? The answer is yes, then they are marked present. And did the student conference with the teacher via phone or Zoom or whatever? And if they did that, they are also counted present. If none of those three conditions exist, then the student is marked absent. So let's talk about why that is really important. And that is a rule that school people refer to as the 90% rule. So why does this attendance matter? In Texas, there is a compulsory attendance law that states that districts are required to enforce the 90% rule. And that means that students have to be in class or participating in class 90% of the time that the class is offered in order to receive credit or a final grade. Now in high school, that comes down to receiving credit. So that counts out to be about 17 or 18 days across the entire school year. So if a student misses more than 8 or 9 days in the fall semester, they are unable to gain credit for that course. If they miss 8 or 9 days in the spring semester, they are unable to gain credit for the spring semester course. What they are generally required to do, the way that we handle that, is that they are required to come to summer school to make up the time they're missed. That is a requirement in state statute, not something that we're making up in the district. So if a student wants to receive credit for all 7 classes, math, science, social studies, ELAR, theater, band, whatever the courses might be, they must be in attendance 90% of the time. So that's the reason we're talking about that asynchronous plan. It provides the most flexible method for students to be able to do that. So how can you help your student be successful with online learning? I'm going to pause on this slide for just one moment. There's a bit.ly there. And make sure if you type in the HTTP that you put the S for secure, and bit.ly/ideal study. This is an article that was done about some important things to think about in developing a study space, an ideal study space for middle school and high school students. They have their own challenges at that age. It's very easy to be distracted by their phone and other things that they're doing. So this article really gives some good tips that you might find helpful. Some of the folks that are online moderating will put this link in the chat so that you can click on it and have it saved at home. It's not a long article, but I think that you might find some good tips there for helping you get prepared. 3 little important tokens or information that I took away from that article. The first one is set up a space that is conducive for learning. So you'll see a little picture over on the left-hand side. It's not fancy at all. It's just a table with a Chromebook and some pencils and good lighting. It doesn't have to be a fancy space, but notice how this particular space is more out in public rather than in a student's bedroom or that kind of situation. One of the things the research is telling us is that if students are in a space where it sort of says to them, this is my time for learning, this is what I'm supposed to be doing right now, that they are more likely to be successful in getting those tasks accomplished. Sometimes if you're in your bedroom, there are so many other things that can draw your attention away and things that interest you that sometimes you forget to focus and be involved in the work that's in front of you. So setting up a space that says, this is my space for learning, this is where I do my online classroom, can be very, very helpful for students. Secondly, encourage your students to dress appropriately for class. This is sort of related to number one. One of the things we've also been reading is that when students change out of their pajamas and those kinds of things into school appropriate clothes, it also is another signal to their brain that school is starting and I'm supposed to engage in this environment in a different way. So they can wear shorts and a t-shirt, doesn't have to be anything fancy, but really sort of moving out of those pajamas and really focusing on what the work is for today. And especially if at some point they plan to come back to face-to-face learning. At this point, our hybrid model is just for the fall semester. It is our hope that by spring we will be back to a normal schedule, and really helping them stay in the pattern of school is very, very important. So do consider that as you're talking with and thinking aloud with your high school student. And then thirdly, utilize the camera on your Chromebook to engage with your classmates. High school students and even middle school students like to turn the camera off and do their own thing and just kind of let the lesson play in the background. There's a lot of research that is saying that students who do that are not as successful academically as the students who are actually engaging. We are using Google Classroom so that we can have breakout rooms. They can engage with students who are actually in the class, see their classmates that maybe they don't see every day. They can collaborate together on assignments. So utilizing that Chromebook camera is very important to help them feel connected to their class. Now we realize they might be running late for first period and need to eat their cereal or Pop-Tart or whatever it is, and they have their camera off while they do that. That's fine. We also realize that they might have been running late and are changing clothes or whatever. There are reasons that kids would want to turn off their camera for a short period of time, but we just don't want them going all day with their camera turned off. So that would be something to watch for as a parent or supporter of an online learning student. So how in the world will I know what my child's schedule is for online learning? So this is a picture of the parent view in Family Access through Cumulative. And over on the far right, you'll see what looks like a little calendar. It's got a green oval around it at this point. If you click on that icon in Family Access, you're going to get what's called the schedule view. And in this case, this shows what a student's doing on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I'll talk about Friday, what those assignments are like in just a minute. So geometry, English 2, dual credit U.S. history, wildlife fishery, chemistry, principles of ag, and boys athletics is this particular student's schedule. So if you have not had an opportunity to access your student's schedule, you can do that through Cumulative right now as a parent. If the students want to access their schedule, they can also do that in Family Access. They would go to the Royse City ISD app. This is a little snippet on the left-hand side of the Royse City ISD app, and they would click on that little blue square that says Cumulative Family Access, and notice they don't have as many icons as you have, and they would also go to the schedule icon over here with a red circle, as close as I could make a circle, and they could look at their schedule as well. Their username is their first part of their email address, and that is before the RCHSbulldogs.net, whatever comes in front of at RCHSbulldogs.net. I'm going to show you that in just a minute. And their password is their student ID, okay? And if you don't have your login information, you can email Family Access and they'll give that to you. So let's talk about the student schedule. This is a sample, or actually this is the schedule, the bell schedule for the 2021 school year. So first period starts at 8:25 and ends at 9:20. Second period starts at 9:25 and ends at 10:15. So you can see the schedule as it goes throughout the day. The line in the middle labeled Power Hour, your students will not have an assignment yet for Power Hour. That is where we do clubs. And we do some tutorials during that time. So you may have a teacher reach out to you that they need your student during Power Hour, or you may have a student who wants to participate in a club. That won't start until after Labor Day. So that information is not out there to get yet, but there will be a link for students who want to join those opportunities throughout the day. So that's kind of the bell schedule for your student. So let's use a student example, a schedule example, the one I read to you just a minute ago. And so the student has geometry first period. So at 8:25, they're going to go to their Google Classroom for geometry. There will be a Google Classroom for every class period, has a code. The students will join with that code, and there will be a link to a Google Meet. And that will take the student into the geometry class. At the beginning of the class, the teacher might have a video or something that she wants all of the students, both the face-to-face students and the online students, to watch at the beginning, and then she might do a direct instruction piece. So that might last 20 or 25 minutes. The geometry lesson where she's teaching about a proof or something else, that might last for 20 or 25 minutes, and then she might say to the students, we're going to get in breakout groups and talk about what we've learned or work on our math journal or whatever she might ask them to do. Or she might say, students, you have from now until 9:20 to work independently on the assignment that's in Google Classroom. So they likely will not be online the entire 50 minutes, but they will get that direct instruction piece that I was talking about so that they can ask questions and get feedback before beginning the assignment. Then in second period, they would log in at 9:25 to English 2. The same thing would happen. The teacher would do the direct instruction piece that they needed to do, or maybe students are working together in small groups today. They would do that for a period of time and then be asked to complete their assignment. And the same thing would go forward in every class period. I will tell you for athletics, for PE specifically, those classes will be predominantly asynchronous. There will be something there that the coach or teacher has asked the students to do in strength and conditioning, and the students will work on that and upload the response that they need to their teacher. So that will likely not have a face-to-face teach piece, but almost every other class will. So students are going to follow their schedule and remote in for the live instruction piece to their teachers so that they can move along in the curriculum every single day. So how do you get your Google Classroom codes? So individual teachers are going to reach out this week and give the codes to the students via their school email. So the Google Classroom codes, there will be 7 of them, are coming to the students, their email address. So what if my student doesn't know their email address, especially if they're a 9th grader or new to Royce City ISD? Parents, if you log into Family Access, and you go to the little button that looks like this little graduation cap that says Student Profile, and you click on that button, your student's email address will be listed under Profile. So students would know, it's generally, in my case, Julia Robinson is my name, so it would probably be, my first name only has 5 letters. I think it's 5 letters, so it'd be Julia.Robinson, and mine would be ROBIN, because it would only be 5 letters, at RCHSBulldogs.net. So because sometimes there might be 2 Julia Robinsons or 2 Kevin Worthies, they have to tweak those just a little. So there's not a perfect pattern for the email address, but you can find it in Family Access under the student profile. The password for their email address is 9th graders use their student ID number, and that is also under the profile if you need that. So 9th graders use a student ID. If you're a new student, you use the student ID. But 10th and above, students who are 10th grade and above, set their passwords last year. So it will be the password that they have had before. So If they have any trouble logging in, they can email c4l@rcisd.org. And that is our Chrome Squad and our instructional design specialist, and they will make sure that your student gets the password that they need to log in. Mr. Worthy's trying to tell me something. Maybe. Okay, so once your student joins the class, teachers will be able to give the parents a code to get a weekly update. So once your student joins the Google Classroom, the teachers will be able to send you as parents a code that gives you a weekly update about what your student has submitted. It won't give you everything that the student has done. It doesn't make you a member of the class, but it does allow you to see what the student has turned in for the week. Just one
second. We're going to pause just for a second. Okay, we're coming back.
So sorry for that brief interruption. So sorry about that. Once your student joins the class, you'll get that update. So sorry about that. So who will be teaching my child? Your student is going to be taught by their normally scheduled teacher. So it's all of folks who are highly qualified. It's the normal math teacher for algebra or geometry or algebraic reasoning or statistics. Whomever the teacher is that normally teaches that class will be teaching your student. So just wanted to help everybody with that information. And the week before school starts, this week, actually, the email should be coming with those 7 Google Classroom codes. If for some reason you can't use Family Access or you're having trouble getting the Google codes for your classrooms, we are maintaining a master spreadsheet with all of those Google codes inside of there. So sure, as you see for Alpha House, Beta House, Gamma House, and Delta House, I'll pause just a minute if you want to get those email addresses. And again, we will place those in the FAQ. If for some reason they don't have the classroom codes, those are the house secretaries of the 4 houses. They can email for those Google codes. I need the my name is Julia Robinson, and I need the Google Classroom code for my biology class. And we'll be able, and I have it 3rd period. If you'll tell the secretary what period you have that class and exactly what the course is, they will be able to email you those codes. And we realize that the very first day of school, there's going to be some catch up going with that. That's a new thing for students to do. So it's okay if you need to call us on Monday and get that code because you realize that there was one missing on Monday. We expect that to happen on Monday. Brooke McMaster, who is on the phone call, is the associate principal at the high school, and she can also facilitate you getting that information. Now, this grid is what we call Enrichment Friday schedule. Just so you know, as an online learner, students will have an assignment every day of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So students will have an assignment on Friday to do. But on Friday, we are running an enrichment schedule at the high school so that we can provide tutorials both virtually, those that you see there in green, and we are also providing in-person tutorials. So each teacher, English, there will period 2 and 3, the English teachers will provide a virtual enrichment and a face-to-face enrichment. It doesn't matter if you're a fully online student or if you are a hybrid student. If you want to come on Friday, because our numbers will be much smaller, and have a tutorial session for English or science or CTE or math or whatever it is that you might need, you are eligible to come to school on Friday at any of these sessions that you see here to get tutorial support and help or participate in a club face-to-face on Friday. You do not have to do that, but you are welcome to do that. So if that would help you in getting support or tutorial or be able to ask those questions in person, that is a service that we would like to offer to you on Fridays. So just a brief moment about fine arts. And in this case, I'm talking about band, choir, drill team, dance, theater, those performance-based classes. This is from Doug Fullwood, our Director of Fine Arts. And I just wanted to give you some basic information that online students have the opportunity to participate in live group performances, marching at games and concerts and group competitions if they attend the before or after school rehearsals scheduled by the directors. As you might understand and know, if you want to march in the marching band and then the program that they have, you'd obviously have to be at school some of those days to know what your spot is and what your pattern is that you're supposed to be marching to make the show work. So if you want to do that, you can certainly come to school at the before or after school rehearsals and participate so that you can be part of the live performances. However, there are families that because of relatives in the home who might be sick or because of students who may not want to be exposed to other students, don't want to participate in those live performances, they will be able still to take any performance-based class. That's what this little line tells you right here. And they will have the same content as face-to-face learners, but they will have recorded opportunities for performances and to show their knowledge and skill in music, dance, theater. They just wouldn't participate in the face-to-face performances. But again, you can do that if you need to, and those decisions are made by the directors of those particular groups, as you know, who has the singing parts and all of those different things. So one note regarding transportation for students, especially on Friday, well, throughout the week. Parents and students are responsible for transportation to before school rehearsals at Roy City High School. This is the way it has always been. If a student came to before school rehearsals, parents dropped them off in the morning and they participated and then they went on to class. Well, this 100% online model provides a challenge because sometimes moms and dads have already gone to work and maybe a student isn't driving yet and they don't have a way to get home if they've chosen online learning. So after that early morning practice, we are providing bus transportation from school back home so that they can begin or be online to participate in their classes. So those students will just need to let their directors know and where they live, and that bus transportation will be provided to the students on their off-campus days. So we'll make sure that students have that. So athletics information. During class time, students will work on strength and conditioning. So they will not be out practicing on the football field during their athletic period. They'll be doing strength and conditioning, which is exactly the same assignment that the students who are in online learning will have as well. They have to attend before and after school practices to be eligible to play on game days. Makes sense, just like we talked about with the fine arts. If they want to play on the football team, they have to know their position and what their job is to do to be in the games on Friday night. Transportation will be provided home from any morning practices as it was for fine arts, but there is no transportation for the after school practices. Again, that is what we have always done, and students have, that is a pattern that we have always followed. So let's talk about assessments, two big ones that we need to talk about. One is unit tests. When we finish a unit of instruction, things are grouped together, bundled together by the learning. So it might be a unit on linear equations in algebra, and it might be a unit on genetics and biology. When we finish a unit of instruction, teachers produce a unit test for that particular unit. Those tests for online learners will be done on Chromebooks. They're often done that way in the classroom as well. And we utilize a program called GoGuardian, We do that for a couple of reasons. GoGuardian has filtering capabilities, but also has security measures. So the teacher will be able to monitor if the student has left the testing environment and gone to another website, maybe to look up an answer or maybe to access some other information. So they will actually monitor the unit tests being done on the Chromebooks through GoGuardian. As I said, they also are used as a filter to, as a part of the CIPA, the Childhood Internet Protection Act, and those, it monitors what websites your student visits and also content of emails if any inflammatory phrases are used or inappropriate phrases are used. And our technology people notify our principals, and then the principals will notify you. And then that way you will have an opportunity to talk with your student about their online behavior before they lose those privileges. And then the last thing is this, let me say one other thing about unit tests, I'm sorry. Unit tests fall in what we call the summative category or the test category in the grade book. So there is everyday formative assessments, their daily work, that's in one category in the grade book, and their unit tests go in a separate category called summative assignments. Anything in that summative category is able to be redone. Students are able to redo an assignment by working with their teacher if they did not pass that unit test the first time. So I just wanted to mention that as well. And then STAR EOC, at this point, the Texas Education Agency is still requiring the STAR EOC. Retesting will be done in December. So if you have a student who needs to retest, our current understanding is that that will be done in December. And our first-time testers, students who are taking biology, algebra, U.S. history, English 1, English 2, those courses, those will be tested in May. And so much more guidance will be coming regarding that, but I just wanted you to know that at this time, that is our understanding, is that students will have to take the STAR EOC. And then in grading, online teachers will follow the same grading policy as in-person teachers. So the students who are at home and online learning will be graded exactly the way the students who are in person will be graded. We have worked over the summer with our teachers to develop unit plans and timelines, and we have gone so far as to even decide which assignments will be graded so that the students at home are being graded on the same assignments as students at school, to try to provide that equity piece for students. So that grading policy is the same as it was last year. We take 12 grades throughout the 9 weeks. There'll probably be a little bit fewer this first grading period because there's only 7 weeks, but we follow the same grading policy as we did last year, and students are being graded on the same assignments. Students will continue to receive progress notes. September 11th, we will close the progress note for the first little section of learning, and you will receive those progress notes on September 18th. And then their report card, we close the 9 weeks on October the 9th. So the following week, you will receive the report card for the first 9 weeks. It will look exactly the way that it has in the past. So as a parent, please stay active in Family Access to ensure you're up to date about grades. One of the things that we learned last year in Digital Dogs is that there was a setting in Google Classroom that had grades. And if you used Google Classroom entirely, you could follow grading that way. But teachers are giving tests outside of Google Classroom. Teachers are giving projects outside of Google Classroom. And so that was creating confusion for parents because they had one grade in Google Classroom and a different grade in Family Access. So we hope that we have turned off that setting in Google Classroom so that you won't be confused by the grades in Google Classroom. You need to go directly to Family Access to ensure that you're up to date about grades. That is the official grading app and where you will see the official grades for your student. So some helpful reminders. Have students connect as much as possible with their teachers, promotes academic success. A lot of the research coming out now says that students who are connecting through Google Meets and through breakout groups and participating in their class, because they can ask questions and get clarification before they start on independent work, that they are more successful academically. So that is the reason that we want to encourage that as much as possible. We will provide asynchronous instruction as much as possible in the event that you cannot attend live. But the most important thing on this slide is stay in contact with your child's teacher. Ask for needed supports. If you can tell they're struggling in math, encourage them to go to the virtual tutorial on Friday, or go to the in-person tutorial on Friday, or email your child's classroom teacher. We are going to have Google Voice again this year. So hopefully by Monday, that will all be up and running for every teacher in the district. But that would give them the ability to text and let you know if a student has not turned something in. That's actually something I should have mentioned. I think I'm going to give you a picture of Google Classroom here in a minute. So so we'll go a little bit further. So district provided supplies. So if you requested a Chromebook during enrollment, or you need a Chromebook, you should have that by now. I'll show you when the extra pickup days are in just a minute on the next slide, but you can get that. It does have GoGuardian already installed. Student textbooks are almost 100% digital. We use a system called Clever. It is a single sign-on. So a student goes to the Clever page and they can click on their math textbook or their social studies textbook or ebooks or educational software, Adobe, whatever it is that they need. They can click on that and they don't have to sign in to every individual item. So it saves time for the student and doesn't make it as mentally taxing to remember all those passwords. So this Chromebook Information, 9th grade students, your pickup is tomorrow from 3 to 6 at the high school. If you currently have a Chromebook from the middle school, you'll just bring it to the high school and they'll swap it out for you. 10th graders that do not have a device, you also come tomorrow from 3 to 6 at the high school. 11th and 12th grade students that do not have a device, you guys are Wednesday, August 19th from 3 to 6. And then 10th through 12th graders that currently have a device. If you already have a Chromebook, then you are a 9th grader or through 11th grader last year, you're just going to keep the device you have. So there's no need for you to come up and try to get another device. And then Friday, August 20th, Thursday, August 20th from 2 to 5 is the makeup day. So just a reminder that you'll need to wear the face covering to enter the building, and your back to school forms have to be completed, and you can come to school and pick up your Chromebook. So this slide will be available again to you in case you need to double check that.
Just a second. Okay, sorry about that, but we had to turn the chat feature off. We've had a couple of people join in that are posting inappropriate things, and so sorry about that. We've turned the chat off. Thank you.
I'm so sorry. Oops, you'll be able to email me. Oops, goodness gracious, if I can get out of there. Let's see, just a second here. I'm sorry. Let me go back just a little. So the Chromebook information is there for you to see, and again, that will be posted to allow you to do that. I did see someone ask if you've paid the Chromebook fee for the summer, do you have to pay again? Absolutely not. If you paid after May 1st, that is your 2021 user fee. So absolutely, you do not need to do that. And I'll give you an email address at the end. If you have any other questions, you can send those to. I'm so sorry about that in the chat. So parent provided supplies for the general core content areas, math, science, social studies, and ELAR. These are the supplies that you'll need: composition notebooks. And I would recommend a different composition notebook for each class, one for history and one for science and one for math. It will help the students stay organized with their information. and keep up with that information. If they decide to come back to online learning, it would be really easy to continue on. Come back to face-to-face learning to continue on with their note-taking in that class. They'll need notebook paper, pencils, highlighters, headphones. I mentioned headphones. Any headphones will do. You can get them at the dollar store. It doesn't have to be anything expensive or fancy, but I will tell you that something we learned in Digital Dogs was the headphones with a microphone. If you have the resources to be able to afford that, that helps the student with the ambient noise and sometimes makes attending and listening and participating a little easier. So if you have an option to do that, your student might find that very beneficial. And then finally, a calculator. Our teachers that teach math and physics and the science classes that require a calculator will provide an app for your student that they can use for that. But if for some reason they really need a physical calculator that works better for them and you do not have that resource at home, that can be checked out through the school. You would just contact your campus house and we will try to make arrangements to do that for you. So I wanted to take a quick picture into the Google Classroom just to show you what you should see when your student logs in. And remember, the student has to log in. Parents do not have the same access as students do. So when they log in, there's going to be 3 sections. The first section is information. And under that information section, you're going to find campus-wide announcements. So anything that the school is sending out about learning is going to be under that campus-wide announcements from Dr. Walker or from any of the principals school-wide. Then there's going to be a Google Meet calendar that will be a link and tell your student what time they're supposed to log in and the link to do that with based on what class period they're in. And then there'll be a weekly overview of sorts. It might be a s'more or information from the teacher about what students are going to be learning that week. The second piece is called additional resources. So if you are in a high school physics class, the periodic table might be under additional resources, something that you're going to use multiple times throughout the 9 weeks. It might be a vocabulary list for language arts, or it might be an anchor chart that shows how you cite text evidence. Anything that students would need to access multiple times throughout the year will be found in additional resources so that they don't have to look through every single link in Google Classroom to find that. And then finally, there will be a link that states the week that we're functioning in. So this one would actually say week 1, August 24th through the 28th. And then underneath that would be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. As I spoke to earlier, that's that daily engagement measure that's required by the Texas Education Agency to give them credit for the course. So there will be their daily assignments, and then you will be able to see the due dates. Now, I need to tell you something else that we learned. High school students are smarter than Google. When they have a due date for an assignment, they can actually click the button that says turn in without doing the assignment. So that Google doesn't know if they filled out anything on the doc that they're submitting or on the form that they're submitting. It just shows that, yes, the student hit turn it in. And so the teachers are working to create kind of a canned response. If your student is just hitting turn it in so that when you look at it, it shows submitted, that you will know that they actually didn't complete that assignment. So we'll have to kind of go through that the first week or two. We had quite a bit of that at the end of Digital Dogs with our older students. And so we're going to have to do a little bit of reteaching to help them understand that the assignment has to be submitted if they want to receive the grade for the assignment. And so once they get into the individual days, we use a phrase called Hyperdoc, and all that means is it's a set of Google slides. So on the first slide, there might be a video from the teacher teaching the lesson, or it might be a video that they want the student to watch about the concept. The second slide might have an anchor chart or some information students are going to need to do the assignment. And then the third slide might have the actual assignment that the student's going to do on it. We call it a Hyperdoc. Because it's all in one Google slide presentation so that the students don't have to click all around to try to find what it is they're supposed to do for today. It keeps it nice and organized and concise for the student. And then finally, what if I need help with technology? So we have created a link on our webpage at www.rcisd.org. If you go to the parent section that you can see there in red, if you go to that box for parents, it is the very last button and it says online learning support. It will take you to a page that looks like this over on the right. How can we help you? And you'll see the icon for Google Classroom, for Google Meets, for Google Google Slides, Google Docs. And if our Chrome squad at the high school and our instructional design coaches and our instructional learning specialists have created videos and click sheets for all of the G Suite tools. So if you are having trouble with your Google Meet and the sound, or you're having trouble getting it to link up or whatever, you might find the answer that you need inside of Google Meet. If you don't find the answer that you need, there is another little box that says, I need more help. And if you click on that box, it will bring up a form, a Google form, and it will ask you for your name and your email address and what is the problem that you're experiencing with your technology or with your class. And if you will fill out that box, our Chrome crew and our instructional design specialists and learning specialists are monitoring that every day and will do their best to get an answer to you that same day. So we hope that that will go very smoothly. We realize on Monday and Tuesday it could be a lot of help and support that's needed, but we will certainly get to you as quickly as we can and provide as much technology support as we can to help you navigate those first few days. So one question we've been asked numerous times is, how can I switch back to in-person learning? So if you are a 100% virtual learner and you decide after a few days that this online learning is not for you, that you would rather be face-to-face, there is a grace period. There's a 3-week grace period at the beginning of the year. So that's August 25th, the second day of school, until September 10th. There will be a tile in Family Access called Learning Style Change Form. It's right down here, Learning Style Change Form. And you will be able to fill out that tile and say, I'd like to move from online learning to the hybrid model back to face-to-face. It does require 24 hours notice to the campus. So if you decide on the 24th that you want to come back to school face-to-face, you wouldn't be able to come back until the 26th because we would need to rework your child's schedule, make sure that they have everything they need, get everything all set up. It just takes 24 hours to do that. So it does require 24-hour notice. And you are limited to one switch within that first 3-week grading period. As you might imagine, if we allowed students to come in and they went for 2 days, no, I don't like that, back to online learning, no, I don't like that. If we went back and forth for 3 weeks, it just keeps the teachers out of a routine and makes it very difficult for learning to progress at a normal rate. So we're asking for one switch during that 3-week grace period. You also have the opportunity to change your learning preference at the end of each 9 weeks. So there's going to be a tile that will appear in Family Access after September 10th. It will reappear. It will stay there the whole 9 weeks, and it will close 1 week prior to the new 9 weeks grading period. So as an example, the first 9 weeks ends on October 9th. So on October 2nd, that tile is going to disappear. You have from the beginning of school until October 2nd to change your mind, and we will post these dates again for you, to change your mind about coming back to on-school learning. But then once that tile closes, you will have to wait till the next 9-week grading period to make a change. So you are allowed to change at the end of every grading period, but we just can't do that changing back and forth every day throughout the 9 weeks. It's just too difficult to manage where students are and if we are meeting their needs. And then finally, the Meals to Go process. We will continue to offer a meal program for our online students who have been affected by COVID-19. You can pre-order your meals by Thursday at midnight and pick them up on Monday morning. So those students who have free and reduced lunch or whatever the situations might be, you can pre-order those meals and they will be picked up on Monday morning. On Tuesday if school's not in session. So we won't be in school very long till it will be Labor Day. And so we will be off on that Monday. So those meals for that week would be picked up on Tuesday. And we'll follow that pattern all year long. It is for RCISD enrolled students only and those students that qualify. And you can find that order form. It is live right now under rcisd.org/food. And it's called Online Learner Meal Order Form. And that will get you enrolled and allow the cafeteria staff to begin preparing for you. I know that was a lot of information, so let me give you one more email address that you can send your questions to. And does AD want us to send it to any specific email address or just mine? Would that be okay? Yeah. So my email address is Robinson, Robinson. And if someone would type it in the chat, that would be great for parents. Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. Robinson J at rcisd.org. That is my email address. I will get that question in the FAQ and we will answer it. You can also find my picture on the website and click on it and it will take you to my email as well. We want to thank you so much for the opportunity to serve you and your child. We cannot wait for the students to come back to school. We have missed them and we are looking forward to teaching them in the 2021 school year. And if you have any questions, you can certainly send those to my email and the FAQ will be posted just as quickly as we can. And we thank those of you for participating tonight to learn a little bit more about online learning. And I'll turn it back to Mr. Worthy.
Thank you guys for joining us tonight. We appreciate it. Hopefully we had an opportunity to answer some of your questions, but again, we'll create an FAQ. If you do have questions that you didn't get a chance to put in the chat, please just email Ms. Robinson. We'll get that question uploaded for the FAQ. So we really appreciate you joining us. So hope everyone has a great night. So thanks for attending.